Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Saturday morning. So someone asked me to do some case updates on a few cases that I've been following on both this channel and also my second channel, Michelle Walks. And I thought, yeah, why not? I've not done a case updates video for a while. I don't know how popular my case updates videos are, but I do them every now and again and I think it's important to do them, just to keep track of what's going on out there. All right, so I'm going to cover Athena Brownfield, Athena Strand, and Dylan Rounds. Those were the three cases that the person asked me to cover. But I'm also going to, at the end, talk a little bit about Brian Kohberger. But first, you have to have a heart made completely of stone. If you weren't touched yesterday by the rescue of the little baby, 2 years old, little JJ. He was reported missing about noon yesterday, the day before, and he'd been last seen at 10:40 in his front yard playing with the family dogs by a neighbour. And law enforcement, the sheriff, said that this was a credible sighting. The story, I think, was that someone dropped JJ off at home about 9:45 and his mother was asleep. So this person who dropped him off put JJ in bed next to his mother. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I've heard. Okay. The mother woke up at 11 and realised that JJ wasn't in the house. So there was a massive search started. And yes, you can say the mother was negligent, he was unsupervised. You can say those things. He wasn't supervised. But I bet you any money that that family will never allow anything like this to happen again. The picture on the left of your screen is JJ's mother carrying him home. And he'd been checked over by paramedics. He had some pretty gnarly scratches and bug bites, but other than that, he was healthy. Whether you believe in a higher power or not, you've got to agree that little baby JJ surely had a guardian angel looking over him, looking out for him, because this was a dire situation. There was up to 100 officers out there looking for him. They didn't ask for volunteers at the time because they had dog teams out there and they didn't want anybody trampling over potential evidence or interfering with the scent. They did exactly the right thing. One of the dogs did a rough indication of the direction, but it was perhaps too vague. I think with dogs where a little kid, runs around and plays in that area, so, starting off in his front yard, the scent's going to be really strong, and I don't think dogs are going to be able to find one track to follow. And then you've got this kind of large amount of scent, and then the one track that leads off to where the kid walked is a lot less. And that confuses dogs. So throughout the night, they had helicopters and drones out there with heat-seeking technology and nothing. So yesterday, they put a call out for volunteers to meet at 8:15 onwards at a command post. Over 500 people went there and dedicated their time. And the one hero that found him, that just was in the right place at the right time, was an ex-Marine called Roy, who had plans to go fishing that day. He saw the call and he thought, the fish aren't going anywhere. This little boy needs help. And Roy found him. He heard little whimpers coming from a wooded area. Where the media have said he was found was south of the middle school, which, as the crow flies, is only 0.8 miles or so from where JJ lives. So not very far at all, but I can imagine that JJ walked a great deal further than that. Once you're lost, once you get in the woods, yourself, if you've ever been in like thick woods, Once you get turned around, it's really difficult because there's no landmarks. And this little guy was only 2 years old. 2 years old, right? And he was stuck in kind of briars, and that's why he'd got so many scratches and bug bites on him. But he was barefooted in shorts. It makes your heart sing, doesn't it? When so many people are willing, you know, who don't know this family, who don't know this little guy, will go out there and they will find him. Absolutely amazing. So he's now back in the arms of his loved ones, in the comfort of his own home. He's going to need some ointment on those scratches. He may not ever even remember this horrible situation. He's only 2. But his family certainly will never forget this. The universe gave him back, and I'm very sure that mistakes like that won't be made ever again. In the true crime community, we talk about the horrible cases where children have been murdered or children have gone missing under suspicious circumstances, and we have no idea what happened to them. Summer Wells is the obvious example here. 20 months Summer has been gone. We're still only at the theory stage. We just don't know what happened to Summer Wells. People have strong opinions on what happened to little Summer, but nobody knows, do they? If she was murdered or abducted, then obviously that person or persons knows, but we don't know. Law enforcement doesn't know. It's horrible. And then you have little Michael Vaughan from Fruitland, Idaho. He was gone minutes and just unfortunately met an absolute devil. The devils who walk this earth encountered Michael, and unfortunately it appears he was buried in a backyard just half a mile away from his home all that time. Numerous cadaver dogs hit in the same places, but Michael's body is not there. He is still out there. Most horrendous situation for his family. So when we get these brilliant rescues, when we get these heroes who are willing to dedicate their time, and law enforcement who are very measured and just did everything right. Amazing thank you to Hernando County Sheriff's Office and all of the searchers, both paid, professional, and the many volunteers who went out there. You brought JJ home, and that's just amazing, astonishing. Thank you so much. But we talk about horrendous cases, so let's get on now to talk about Athena Brownfield, Athena Strand, and Dylan Rounds. I'll start with Dylan Rounds. Dylan was the 19-year-old young man. He went missing in May of last year, and there was a lot of mistakes made in that case by law enforcement early on. The person, James Brenner, who it's looking very, very likely caused harm to Dylan and murdered him, I don't know, but was responsible for his disappearance. It's looking very likely that James Brenner is the guy. He's the only suspect in the case. Now, he is in jail. He's not going anywhere. He's in jail on unrelated charges. But the family say that there are things happening in that case. It's certainly not a cold case. They have a suspect, but, you know, they need to build a case. So the family, I think, know more than what we do. It's maybe likely that charges are going to come against James Brenner, but we just have to be patient. Dylan is still out there somewhere. He's never been found. Will he ever be found? I don't know. From what I can glean, the family does know that charges are coming. So fingers crossed. And hopefully, even if Dylan can't be brought home, even if Dylan is gone forever, hopefully justice will prevail. All right, now Athena. Well, the two Athenas. But we're going to do Athena Brownfield first. So she was a little 4-year-old from Oklahoma. And this is from January of this year. A mail carrier was approached by a little girl. And this little girl was Athena Brownfield's sister, who'd been left home alone. And the alarm was raised, and it became apparent that little Athena Brownfield was missing. Or was she? Her caregiver, who I believe is her aunt or her mother's cousin, but a relative, who'd been looking after Athena and her older sister for around 2 years. So her name is Alicia Adams. Once she was arrested, she gave a full confession that around midnight on Christmas Day, her husband, Ivan Adams, beat Athena, held her up by her arms until she stopped moving, and then he punched her 3 times in the chest and left the house around 1 a.m. on December 26th. He returned some time later, telling his wife that he'd buried Athena near the fence line near their old residence in Rush Springs. And a search for Athena's body did reveal child remains in that location. They were positively identified as Athena. She had been murdered. So Ivan and Alicia are in jail, but there's a gag order on the case. So due to that gag order filed in Caddo County District Court, there's no additional comment on the investigation. We just have to be patient and let the court process run its course. But there is a gag order, so we're not going to find out very much until a trial. And then we've got Athena Strand now. This is horrendous. It was November the 30th, and little Athena, who was only 7 years old, was reported missing. This case, honestly, showed the worst of the internet. There was so much blame, just horrible, vile comments directed towards her stepmother, who was her caregiver at the time. Athena was living with her biological dad, who was out on a hunting trip, and her stepmother. Athena, she'd reportedly gone to her bedroom. Shortly thereafter, her stepmother called her and she had gone. And she had been taken by a FedEx driver who was delivering Christmas gifts. This is Tanner Lynn Horner. He was arrested and charged with capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against this guy. District Attorney James Staten filed court documents in federal court informing the judge that he will seek the death penalty against Horner if he's found guilty of capital murder. Under Texas law, capital murder of a person under 10 years old qualifies the perpetrator for the death penalty. Horner confessed to the heinous crime. He told investigators that he had accidentally hit Athena with his truck on November the 30th, panicked before grabbing her and putting her in the vehicle. Fearing what would happen if he told her parents, he strangled her inside the truck and dumped her body 7 miles away from her home beside a country road. She was found on December the 2nd in Wise County, Texas, murdered. For what? Absolutely no reason. Another devil who walks this earth. Her mother, Maitland Gandy, released a statement on the indictment, and she said, "I would like to thank the Wise County Grand Jury for their role in the process. Hearing the facts and circumstances of my 7-year-old daughter's kidnapping and murder was undoubtedly very difficult for them. I want them to know that their work is deeply appreciated. Tanner Horner's indictment is the beginning of a long road through the justice system. I appreciate everyone's continued support for keeping Athena's name and memory alive. Please take a moment to hug your children and loved ones. No one is promised another day." Horner had been charged with sexually assaulting a child almost a decade ago and faces 3 additional counts of sexual abuse of a child in 2013 in Fort Worth. He's being held in jail on a $1.5 million bond. Athena's dad, Jacob Strand, launched legal action against FedEx, claiming that they did not carry out sufficient background checks before hiring Horner as a driver for their company. Athena's mother said, "I support the death penalty. Every breath he takes is one my daughter doesn't. If I could sit down in front of him, I would tell him he is a nothing, but that Athena is absolutely everything, and I will make sure that everybody in this world knows that he is a nothing and that she is everything." Why didn't he just drive away? Is his story, the story that he told, true? I don't know. Maitland said, "I triple check my doors every night and I hold my 3-year-old tighter. I'm scared to let her go. Everything is just very, very scary and very, very sad. It's been rough on our family. For my other 3-year-old, she doesn't understand why she can't call Sissy or why she hasn't come home yet. It's a long time for her to go without seeing her sister. We're coping, we're trying to function. It's been long, hard, and very chaotic at the same time. I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm confused, I'm doing my best. I've been very scared. I don't sleep very often or for an extended period of time. Noises at night scare me. Devils walk this earth, that's all I can say. So Tanner Horner in jail where he belongs, potentially facing the death penalty. Alright, finally, before I sign off, let's talk briefly about Brian Kohberger. People magazine have reported an unnamed source. Where are all these sources coming from? You know, it's usually Banfield that makes these startling claims. An unnamed source has told her this, that, and the third. But this time it's People magazine, and apparently sources revealed that Brian Kohberger had a picture, at least one picture, of one of the Idaho 4 female victims. So it could be Maddie, Kaylee, or Xana. We don't know which victim. Allegedly. Now, it had come out a little while ago that he'd messaged one of the victims on Instagram. So, had he taken Instagram photos? If it's true, it leads credence to this idea that he'd been watching them, he'd been stalking them for a long time before the murders. So, yeah, I'm always suspicious about these unnamed sources. We've got to wait till June the 26th. It's the same day, actually, as Nicola Bulley's inquest. So that's going to be a very long day for me. But, yeah, June 26th is when Kohberger's preliminary hearing starts. So it'll be then. It's only 4 months away now. It'll be then that we learn some more actual details, factual details about Brian Kohberger's alleged murder of Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. The house they lived in has been bought, I believe, by the University of Idaho. It's all boarded up now, and they're going to demolish the house, and I don't know what they're going to do there. A memorial, a nice little park, I don't know. But I'm glad that that house is going to be no more. It's going to be demolished. So, yeah, let me know what you think about all of these cases down below. I've been Michelle. Hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys.